newborn. This is a classic real-life rescue mission.
I am to your 8 o'clock behind and on the level. Yeah, copy that. See you. I put about 4 litres of fuel left in an hour.
From an early age, my brother Hugo and I have always had a thirst for adventure. Growing up in the southwest of England, we used to spend hours playing on Dartmoor, acting out the stories of the great explorers. I'm Ross Turner, explorer, adventurer, and one half of the Turner twins. Together we've explored Greenland, climbed mountains, and we've rowed the Atlantic Ocean. But it all nearly didn't happen when Hugo had a life-threatening accident. He fractured his neck when he was 17 in a freak swimming accident. He was millimetres from being paralysed. Thankfully, after nearly a year, Hugo had made a full recovery. We knew we needed to pursue our love of adventure, so we set out on a quest to become the first people to journey to the centre of Australia using paramotors. Getting the kit out for the first time was such a relief. Firing up the engines, making sure everything's perfect, you're heading into wind, running, and then just feeling your feet go light, flying into the sky, way above the outback was very, very special. So we all landed, we sat by the fire. Yeah, we didn't really talk, we just reflected on an entire year of planning and emails and finance and hard work and tears. Our route to the Red Pole took us along the Udna data track. When we were in the air, Kester, our cameraman and the person who taught us to fly, was on the ground in the support car. We got to Al Jabakina Bridge, a vast orange rusty structure. It was cold and eerie. Flying over it was spectacular. We flew over Mount Connor, this incredible monolith dominating the landscape. In fact, we were so transfixed by it, we failed to notice Ayers Rock. It was 120 kilometres away, but it looked like it was just on the horizon. It was the flight of the journey, and it really put the size of Australia into perspective.
Yeah, they obviously get a huge amount of rain because looking at the riverbed and the bank eroded and the wind.
We're just on the computer looking at Google Earth. We're just double checking the coordinates of where we need to go. We're about 15-16 kilometres from the pole. and then we'll leave from here later this evening and head up, and hopefully the winds will be calm enough that we can go there and back on the same flight.
The Red Pole was a name Hugo and I coined because the Pole of Inaccessibility in Australia is in an area they call the Red Centre. It's the point in the middle of Australia the furthest away from the coastline in all directions. We went to the Australian government to get the exact coordinates. People rarely go to the Red Pole just purely because it's so inaccessible. There's only one road that goes from north to south in Australia, and we were hundreds of kilometres away from it. So we're in a holding pattern, circling around looking for a place to land. At about 1,500 feet, this particular site looked great. We knew we could see some big trees, but the rest of it looked quite grass-like. So Hugo, who was at the base of the holding pattern, committed to land first. And at that point, he realised he'd made a mistake.
Just landed after what we thought was grass, and well, it's all just shrubs and broken trees. Takeoff is going to be pretty interesting. My heart's going a little because actually getting out of here is going to be a big issue.
With all the lines on the wing we had, any shrubs, any bushes grab hold of the line, and it doesn't take a lot for a takeoff to go wrong.
It's not exactly a small field of trees, Huge, thanks for the warning. You've got to see the funny side of this.
Pointing directly at it there. Stop until we're actually on the spot.
This is it.
This is it.
Well, we're in the middle of nowhere, so nobody can hear us. Is this?
Right, apparently this is the centre of Australia.
Well, I think, boys, that tree
Feels
so underwhelmed. So underwhelmed. This is the centre of Australia, right here.
We actually had a time capsule where we put in a little bit of British money, business cards, email addresses, and then we wrote a little message to whoever might find it.
We need to get airborne. We're just trying to find our way back to our paramotors. I think it's going to be a long evening and probably a longer night. Yeah.
We decided that Kester would take off. He had the smaller wing, which had less lines and less surface area to get caught.
Yeah, good man, good man.
I'm ready to do 25 miles an hour. There's a bit of a headwind, but it's 55.
Copy that. He's got a headwind, so he's only doing 25 miles an hour. Okay. It's getting very dark very quickly, and we are in the middle of absolute nowhere. So we've made a little shelter out of our parachute. One paramotor. You can just about see the other one, looks like a ghost. We're kind of covering up. There's a little breeze, but it's set to be 2 degrees tonight, so it's actually pretty cold. Well, firstly, we've just made comms with Kester. This is a classic real-life rescue mission on the Red Pole expedition.
The lights of Kester's car were so reassuring. We'd had hours of no communication. Being able to see him on the horizon was such a relief.
There's Kester on the left.
On the way back, it got pretty dark. Let's say, couldn't really see anything, and I was so pleased that my engine didn't pack up or my GPS, because if either of those had failed, we might not all be here now having a beer, celebrating the day.
I never enjoy coming back from an expedition because an expedition you just have so much clarity on life and what you want to do and achieve. Life is so hectic, busy, social, 24/7, whereas on an expedition, it's very simple. You fly, you eat, sleep, wake up. You come back into the social world that masks and hides all your ambitions and needs and wants in life. Yeah, I don't get used to it at all. I'll give you an example of what Hug's takeoff is like.
The mood is tense. Hugo's just found the first bloody snake. Come on. It's a real big one, guys. You've got to watch out. You've got to watch out. Okay, you might not be able to see it because we're not that close. Look what Hug found. Look, keep zooming in. Look at it. It's enormous. Absolutely enormous.
I'll give you an example of what Rossi's takeoffs are like. Yeah, I'll cut the engine.